Good morning. Thank you very much for all your patience with our start time this morning. We had to do a little bit of preparing. So with that, I am Marilyn Dondero-Loop. I'll be chairing the Senate Finance Committee this morning, and I will ask for the roll call.
Senator Buck. Here. Senator Neal. Senator Wen. Here. Senator Scheibel. Here. Senator Stone. Here. Senator Taylor. Present. Senator Titus. Here. Chair Dondero-Loop.
And I am here. Thank you very much, and I think all are present and accounted for but one, and she will be in shortly, so please mark her present as she arrives. And with that, we will start. We have an agenda. We may go out of order, but I'm pretty sure it'll be the way it is. But with that, we will start with Senate Bill 85. And we'll call Senator Wynn to the table. Oh, nope. Never mind. We're calling Senator Scheibel to the table. Quick switch of characters here. And we'll ask her to join us at the table. And just as a reminder, if you're in here, to mute your cell phones as we're allowing Senator Scheibel to get ready. And please go ahead when you're ready.
Good morning, Chair Dondero-Loop and members of the Senate Finance Committee. Thank you so much for hearing SB 85 this morning. Briefly, the policy of SB 85 extends the traffic study that we've already been doing for 2 years to gather information about people who are stopped in the state of Nevada by peace officers. Having 2 years of data is really not enough to make any meaningful inferences. So SB 85 suggests that we extend this traffic study. I know that there is a fiscal note on the bill. I think that the Department of Public Safety has indicated about $3,000 to $5,000 in administrative costs in addition to new personnel. I'm not quite sure why they need new personnel when they've been doing this for the last 2 years. I'm not sure if they're here to answer that question, but I would hope that we would be able to continue utilizing the personnel that have been doing this work for the last 2 years into the future.
Thank you very much, and we'll go to questions. Senator Wynn.
Thank you. You kind of answered the question I had. I know that they have been doing this already. Obviously, I have heard this in the policy committee that I chair, and I just had a question. I know that during the policy hearing, we heard from the UNLV School of Medicine that was doing the data collection on this, and they had indicated that with the 2 years, and it's a little less than 2 years because it took a while for the data to start to be collected, that they said at a very minimum they would need at least 3 years of this data. Is that my correct understanding for those of everyone who wasn't on the policy committee that is not in here?
Melanie Scheibel, for the record, yes, that's correct. They would need at least 3 years worth of data to make any meaningful inferences.
Thank you very much. So just so I'm clear, so this is a study where when you get stopped by a police officer, they take down some demographic information, and then they're sharing that with the School of Medicine, UNLV School of Medicine, so that we have that information moving forward.
Melanie Scheibel, for the record, yes, and this is a partnership between the state and between UNLV. When the concept was first kind of developed to do this study to help us understand better our patterns of traffic stops and traffic violations, it was really not feasible for the state to undertake all of the data collection and analysis, and so we were lucky that the UNLV School of Medicine was willing to take on that very significant role of compiling all of the data and analyzing all of the data. And so while peace officers collect it, they send it to UNLV. And so UNLV is working to provide us with information like where are the most vehicle stops occurring and what zip codes? What is the most common reason for stopping vehicles? When a vehicle is stopped, how often is a citation issued? When a citation is issued, how often is it for the same reason that the person was stopped? And I know this wasn't your question, but with 2 years of data, it's just not enough to say because we don't have enough data points, and so we don't risk just getting bad information, but UNLV has, a standard of integrity, and they're not willing to draw conclusions from such little information, and so the study would basically be rendered moot at that point.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Senator Titus.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So based on what you just said, Senator, that the 2 years is not enough, then what would be a reasonable amount of time? Because I have concerns that there's no stop date here. For me, you're looking for a problem that doesn't exist, trying to gather data that, what are we doing with this data? Okay, fine, we have 10 stops here, 10 stops there. So what's a reasonable amount of time that UNLV said in their research that they need, depending on what they're looking for?
Melanie Scheibel for the record. So first of all, the purpose of the data is to improve traffic safety throughout Nevada. We have a high incidence of traffic collisions and especially with traffic fatalities. And so, there are a lot of policy pieces that go into preventing traffic fatalities, and one of them is enforcement. And so we're looking on the back end of the enforcement to see, where are we enforcing the laws? Are those the same places where the fatalities are occurring? Are we missing the places where the fatalities are occurring? Are there other patterns that we don't know about that would help us to be smarter in the way that we enforce traffic laws? And UNLV indicated during the policy hearing and in my conversations with them that with the 2 years that they already have, at least one additional year would give them enough information that they would feel comfortable, not comfortable, but scientifically they'd be able to assess some trends. More information, I think, would always be helpful. And from a policy perspective, I see the value in continuing this indefinitely as our communities change, as we develop more roads in different places, as people move from, one community to another. I think it's always helpful to be able to see in real time where and how we're enforcing traffic provisions and how we can best adapt to increase public safety.
Thank you very much. All right. No other questions? Thank you very much, Senator Scheibel. You can step back. Anybody in support of Senate Bill 85 here in Carson City? Please go ahead when you're ready.
Chair Don Loop and members of the Committee on Finance, for the record, Leonardo Benavides with UNLV here in support of SB 85. Just want to say we're very appreciative of Senator Scheibel, Senator Dallas Harris in the interim, as well as Senator Wynn working with us on this, and then some of the language as well to make sure that we're able to get more time in order to fully analyze that data that we need so we can actually present some clean information to the state, to the legislature. So
Thank you very much. Any additional support here in Carson City, in Las Vegas, and on the phone lines, AVH, when you're ready?
Thank you, Chair. The public line is open and working, but there are no callers to provide support testimony at this time.
Thank you very much. We'll go to opposition here in Carson City, in Las Vegas, and on the phone lines, AVH, when you're ready.
There are no callers to provide opposition testimony at this time.
Thank you very much. And we will go to neutral here in Carson City, in Las Vegas, and on the phone lines, please.
There are no callers to provide neutral testimony at this time.
Thank you very much. Then we will ask for closing remarks. All right, none. We'll close the hearing on Senate Bill 85, and we'll open the hearing on Senate Bill 260, and we'll welcome Senator Flores to the table.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Vice Chair, and esteemed colleagues of the Senate Finance Committee. I am Senator Edgar Flores, proudly representing Senate District 2. I am joined by Ms. Jackie Spicer from the Nevada Environmental Justice Coalition, and we are here to proudly present Senate Bill 260. By way of reference, I wanted to start off by thanking Mr. Paul Maracan and business and industry, and really the 20 plus stakeholders that have been involved in these negotiations that have gone into the mornings, evenings, afternoons, phone calls, Zoom, in person, and at times have been very frustrating to get to a place that everybody was comfortable. And I just wanted to thank Ms. Spicer and Mr. Maracan for their incredibly hard work to get to where we are now. Just by way of reference to give everybody a little bit of a guide, where we originally started with Senate Bill 260 was when we have poor air quality in Nevada, we wanted to create requirements, certain triggers to protect outdoor workers, whether it be with work stoppages or mandating that we have certain protective gear in place so that we could provide some protection for workers. As we all know, we've seen what happens in northern Nevada with some of these horrific fires, and at times we still have jobs to complete. So we wanted to make sure that we weren't impacting work but at the same time, we're protecting employees. That's where the bill started. It was casting a very large net. We wanted to try to impact and kind of bring in as many industries as possible. However, and after many months at this point of going back and forth, we realized that perhaps that was not the best approach, that we wanted to have further input from all industry, and that we send this back and that we allow OSHA to implement these regulations and create the rules. We've had a similar process occur already with heat mitigation that occurred last session, where we ended up doing something very similar. So in the interest of time, Madam Chair, if I may just pass it over to Ms. Spicer so that she can explain where the bill as amended has landed now.
Thank you so much, Senator Flores, and good morning, Chair and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Jackie Spicer, JACKIE-SPICER, representing the Nevada Environmental Justice Coalition. As Senator Flores mentioned, we have had extensive, many stakeholder meetings to get this bill to a place where we have received a neutral standpoint on both sides for folks. So what this bill would do is it would direct the Division of Industrial Relations to create regulations that an employer must follow to monitor the air quality levels during wildfire smoke, and also to reduce the exposure of employees when poor air quality from wildfire smoke happens and the air quality index is 150 or more, and also when the air quality index is 200 or greater. And that difference comes from at air quality levels of 150 or greater, it becomes dangerous for people's health to be breathing smoke. There are many pollutants in wildfire smoke that lead to significant health problems for people in the long term, and we don't want workers to be subjected to those pollutants because they have to work. At air quality index level of 200 or greater, it is hazardous for people to be working outdoors. And so we want to make sure that Nevada OSHA is able to work with industry stakeholders to establish what measures need to be taken at both of those index levels. We're also asking Nevada OSHA to determine at what air quality index level caused by wildfire smoke that an employer shall not allow an employee to perform critical tasks outdoors. So at a certain point, it does become extremely dangerous for people to be working outdoors, and something like an N95 mask that might be considered a financially feasible solution is not something that provides adequate protection for employees. So, and in addition to that, we're asking the Division of Industrial Relations to establish regulations that an employer must follow to implement a communication system so that employees are aware of when the air quality index becomes unhealthy and hazardous for employees to be breathing the air, as well as establishing regulations for providing training to employees on the requirements of the regulation, as well as the potential hazards of not using personal protective equipment while working outdoors and being exposed to these hazards. So with that, we are directing Nevada OSHA to create guidance to work with employers so that they have the ability to follow these regulations. And we've listed exemptions in this amendment as well. So that would include operators of a mine, those who employ commercial truck drivers, is the provider of emergency services, or businesses who have 10 or fewer employees.
And Madam Chair, Senator Edgar Flores, for the record, again, representing Senate District 2. The other thing we wanted to make clear that we don't know what these regulations are going to look like now. We don't know if monitoring air quality will be, OSHA will direct them to utilize a website to best achieve that. We don't know exactly what type of protective gear OSHA will determine is best. We don't know how each individual industry will be impacted. OSHA may come up with different sets of regulations for different industries. At this time, we do not know exactly what this will look like. We are sending it back so that we get the maximum input from all stakeholders and all interested parties so that OSHA can come up with the best regs. And that we felt was the best approach to this conversation, given that there are so different perspectives, and how we interact with different environments differs based on the type of work we're doing. And if I'm out there putting cement, that may be different than if I'm out there cutting timber, whatever it may be. We just want to make sure that we were as transparent as possible with the process. We did want to say that all but 2 of the fiscal notes have been removed, and we have not received input specifically on what those fiscal notes look like. But our pushback is just that we don't understand how we are determining a fiscal impact now when we're saying we're punting this back to OSHA for them to make the determinations, for them to have the stakeholder meetings, and we don't know what air monitoring will look like. We don't know what those protective requirements will be. And in addition to that, I want to make it abundantly clear, poor air quality is not a new thing, and wildfires are not a new thing. There isn't an industry now that doesn't already operate in these conditions and has not already taken some type of protective measures to ensure that their workers are out there in a safe environment. So I don't imagine that there's going to be a scenario where you are having people working in poor air quality and 200 plus air quality, and that there wasn't already some type of protective gear provided to those employees. What we are just saying is we want to create a standard for that depending on industry, and so OSHA will help us create that guidance. And with that, Madam Chair, we are open for questions.
Thank you very much. You said that you had 2 fiscal notes that had not been removed. Who are those 2 fiscal notes from?
The remaining fiscal notes are from the Department of Agriculture and the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources.
Well, that's good news because we got one of our people right here in this very room. Let me ask you one other question. I'm most concerned about firefighters from my vantage point for lots of reasons. First of all, I totally appreciate what the bill does and what you're asking for. So let me be clear. The idea is that we would give them different protective gear because we can't just let a fire just start burning. We can't walk away from it just because the air quality is bad.
No, thank you, Madam Chair.
And that's unfortunate, but that's the job.
No, you are 100% correct, Madam Chair. Senator Edgar Flores, for the record. In the exemptions, we are 100% excluding emergency services. So anybody that's working for emergency services now is completely exempt. And the reason for that is they have a higher standard that they adhere to than anything OSHA would implement, quite frankly, which is also why we're doing it for the mines. They adhere to a much higher standard and/or federal standards already. So we are not looking to circumvent that process. This is also true for anybody really providing services during an emergency. We had this conversation during the policy side of this convo. Say we saw what happened in California, where during the horrific fires, we needed to make sure power stayed on. We needed to make sure water kept moving. These are essential services that need to continue to move even in the middle of fire. So we are not looking to capture them in any way.
May I also add that we have in our proposed conceptual amendment also added.
Please state your name for the record.
Thank you. Jackie Spicer for the record. That we are including entities that are acting under the directive of a state of emergency or declaration of disaster as well.
So this would directly impact, can you list me some?
Sure, thank you, Madam Chair. Senator Edgar Flores, for the record. Suppose we are constructing a new lot of 50 houses and there is a horrific wildfire that's within the proximity, and unfortunately the air quality index hits over 150. It could also impact individuals that are further away from that. As we all know, in Northern Nevada, particularly those of you who live in Northern Nevada, there are days where the air quality triggers shutting down schools, triggers shutting down government, right? Because it's just the air quality is so poor. And we know that we're not immediately next to a fire, but it may be miles down the road, and just the nature of the air quality at the time is just too horrific. So we know that there are a lot of industries that could be impacted by it. But because of that, Madam Chair, is why we are sending it to OSHA, so that we allow each individual industry to make a determination on what best fits them.
Okay, thank you. Questions from the committee? Senator Neal.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So you said the fiscal note that's still left is the one from Natural Resources. So the unsolicited, so in the write-up on this is the second one on the first reprint, not on the amendment that you have right now. They're saying that they'll have to enter into a contract to implement the program and then train staff. So what has been the communication around that? Will it be rolled into potentially another environmental agency that can assist, or what are we doing?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Senator Neal, through you, Madam Chair, Senator Edgar Flores, for the record. For the sake of clarity, where we originally started, we were very prescriptive in saying we want to ensure that there is a minimum standard across the board, and we were impacting most industries at that time. What we are doing now here, however, is we're sending it back to OSHA to make that determination. So it would be incorrect for me, Senator Neal, to tell you now exactly what their role will be, if at all, because we're sending this back to OSHA to make those determinations with the input of all industry. So really, at this point, we're just sending more of a guide. We want to know what happens at 150, 200. We know we have poor air quality. How do we best address it? And OSHA, please give us some guidance. It's really what we're doing now versus where we originally started, where we were saying, here's what happens at 150, here's what happens at 200, here's what happens for every particular industry. We weren't telling them exactly what to do, but we were creating minimum standards at that point. So I think that's where those fiscal notes were triggered. And at that time, we had, I think, 15 fiscal notes because of that.
Follow up, Madam Chair. So in the first fiscal note, they were talking about N95 mask. It seems like they're still talking about protective equipment in the first reprint. So my first thought was those N95 masks are the ones that we used during COVID, right? That, we had all this storage of all this COVID equipment that we had. Is that something that's still available that can then be used? Because it's not like masks don't have an expiration date, do they? I don't think so.
Thanks, Senator Neal, for that question. Senator Edgar Flores, for the record. 2 points. Number one, I don't want to suggest that N95 is going to be exactly what OSHA throws out, although it is a very reasonable requirement that I suspect that could potentially be it. Number one. Number two, though, is any industry here, if you ask them now, if you're going to make a worker and you're going to force them to go out where the air quality is now at 150 or 200, what are you doing now? I can assure you that the industries will tell you we are already providing some type of protective gear. We are mostly focusing on the bad actors who we believe aren't doing that. When we were having the policy discussion, the majority of the industries that came up said, we already do this. Why are we making all folk participate in this if we do it? And some of us do better than others, and I am not pushing back on that. I really do believe that industry is doing a good job for the most part, particularly the folk that are in the room. It's really the folk outside of the room that we don't always believe have that type of protection. We had at that time individuals come up and talk about how they were working in very poor air quality conditions. So it's my position that if you ask them, they will say we already have some type of procedure in place when we're working in these conditions. And it is also my position that they will say they have some type of protective gear that they're utilizing. And then beyond that, they will have an opportunity to have direct input during the OSHA process and the working groups to provide whatever feedback they have. So that is my position of how we suspect these conversations will go. But I don't want to fall in the trap here, Senator Neal, of saying, yeah, N95 masks are going to become the requirement or a particular type of protective gear, because it's going to put us right back why we were at an impasse with negotiations, because that's what they didn't want. They did not want to hear a very specific prescriptive requirement of what protective gear looks like or when it triggers. We just said, at these two triggers, what happens? OSHA, please help us make that determination. At what point is the air quality so poor that we shouldn't have humans out there working if it's not an emergency service provider? So that's really what we're saying. Just help us figure out what happens at these triggers rather than us telling them, this is what we need you to do.
Thank you very much. Would you talk a little bit about your proposed conceptual amendment, please?
Yes, absolutely. Jackie Spicer for the record. So in the proposed conceptual amendment, you'll see a lot of the first two sections have been taken off. This is because we had initially included that there would be a program that employers must take, and we wanted to make sure that was taken out to ensure that OSHA would be responsible for working with employers on what the programs, safety programs would look like. Section 2 has been taken out because this one went over how employers could monitor air quality and all of the available air quality monitoring sources that are available. But we again have moved that into the new Section 1 so that OSHA can provide guidance on how employers can monitor air quality levels and reduce that exposure. We also wanted to make sure it was included that there is still a requirement for training, that employees are trained on both the regulations that would come out of this, but also on the potential hazards if employees choose not to use personal protective equipment, which was a lot of the feedback we got from industry stakeholders that during COVID, things like N95 masks, sometimes people didn't feel comfortable wearing them for a variety of reasons. So at the very least, people should be aware of the risks that they are taking if they choose not to use the personal protective equipment. We also wanted to make sure that Nevada OSHA would be developing and providing written guidance for how employers could be following the regulations, which is exactly what happened from the heat illness regulations that came out. OSHA created guidance documents on how the industries could follow, how employers could follow those regulations, including addressing things like how employees in remote locations could be monitored off-site for how they can still be protected and be aware of how or when temperatures reach dangerous levels to be working outside. So we again have put that on the responsibility of DIR and Nevada OSHA. And then we have also gone through for the definitions section and removed phrases that would have indicated the amount of time that an employee spent outside as a qualification for how who should be monitored and would fall under these regulations. So we have removed those words of constantly, frequently, and occasionally to perform critical tasks outdoors, and clarified that outdoors, working in an outdoor environment means that it's not enclosed or climate controlled, and also, as I mentioned, providing emergency services also includes entities acting under the directive of the state, and that wildfire smoke, the definition was amended to indicate that the complex mixture of dangerous gases and particles in the air are caused by wildfire smoke. And lastly, we have included here in the new Section 3 that this bill would not change anything related to existing workers' compensation laws.
Okay, thank you very much. We have Mr. Gocochea in the room. If you don't mind, I'd love for him to come up and talk about the fiscal note that is on here. And then we'll go to support, opposition, and neutral. Good morning, Mr. Gocochea. Thank you for joining us. And your sidekick.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Members of the committee, my apologies for hustling in. I was actually on my way to another meeting when I got the word you were gaveling in, so I came back.
Thank you for joining us.
Director Gocochea for the record, GOICOE-CHEA, Nevada Department of Agriculture. We have Deputy Director from DCNR, Dominic Etchegoyen, and I'll let him speak to their fiscal note after I do. So our initial fiscal note was as drafted. As introduced on that bill. We have been working on a subsequent fiscal note, and we are prepared to provide that to you. We had been waiting to see what additional amendments may come out before we did. I will tell you that our subsequent fiscal note is going to be higher. And the reason why is just as the sponsor walked through, we don't know what this is going to do for sure, but we do read in there where the administrator must adopt regulations that the employer will have to comply with. So we're pretty sure that's going to limit some of our inspectors. This committee knows very well Our majority of our inspectors, over 100 of them, are in budget account 4546. That's always very slim. If we have to put additional inspectors on to limit the amount of time they're there, or we have to buy personal protective equipment, or we have to do something along those lines, it is going to have a significant fiscal impact on us. We have brand inspectors in the field every day. We also have produce inspectors, entomology, so those that are out there right now during our surveys. And we know what these valleys look like in northern and central Nevada when we get a smoke season. And we may see that for weeks on end to where you can't see the mountain from the valley. And that is, yes, it is not healthy air, but we must do those inspections to keep commerce moving, the public safe, and our products safe and moving as well. So that is why we have come up with a fiscal note, because we know we have to continue to meet our mission and the mission of the state while protecting employees with whatever these regulations look like.
Thank you very much. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair, members of the committee. My name is Dominic Etchegoyen. I'm Deputy Director for the Nevada Department of Conservation and Natural Resources. And so our original fiscal note also was based on the original reprint 1. And there have been significant changes to this bill through this conceptual amendment. And it was helpful to clarify that it was not the employer, i.e. the state agencies, that was going to have to develop and establish those regulations. So that's a big change. However, as Director Goycochea indicated, there are still going to be regulations that are established by the administrator of the Division of Industrial Relations that the employer must follow and implement. And for us, our concerns are very similar from a fiscal perspective to the Department of Agriculture, where we are interested in the protective equipment that will be required. But also there's discussion of communication systems where we need to communicate with our employees in the field and they need to communicate with us. A lot of our employees are in very remote areas of Nevada where we don't have cell service, but also a lot of our employees are not provided work cell phones. They don't necessarily have radios in their trucks and in their vehicles. So our concern is from the communications perspective primarily. I would like to point out that we are a broad, diverse department with a lot of different divisions. So specifically, I think 2 of our divisions are exempted, and we've taken that into account. When the exemption is provided for providers of emergency services, we view that as being our entire division of forestry and our entire division of state parks. Even though there are employees in there who aren't providing emergency services, we think that the language exempts that entire division as an employer of providers of emergency services. So we're strictly looking at our divisions of environmental protection, our Division of Water Resources, our Conservation Districts Program, our Sagebrush Ecosystem Technical Team, our Division of Natural Heritage, and those others who are out there working in the field, sometimes doing permitting that is required for us to achieve our mission.
Okay, thank you. I believe Senator Neal has a question.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this is for Mr. Goycochea, and then I have a second question. So when you said that currently, you mentioned there's a smoky environment, which we know exists. What is the current practice, right? If they go out and it's been a wildfire, or just maybe there's just haze, smog, etc. What currently is the practice for protective gear?
Senator Neal, to you through the chair, Director Goycochea, for the record. So currently the practice is we encourage them all to protect themselves, obviously. We do not have a threshold. We don't know is it 150? Is it 175? So obviously if they're not feeling well or they feel that they're sensitive, are they an asthmatic, which we have some inspectors that are, do they have other underlying health conditions, then we would send another inspector if they could not do that. But it is really up to that inspector. They are at-will inspectors, and they go and they do that job. Now, if they are on our produce side, there are days that we can push those back a day or two and wait for that air quality to increase, but predominantly our livestock inspectors are out there on that day because that's the day they have to go. And there is no personal protective equipment provided to them at this time.
Follow up? So for the food inspectors, when you say you have to push it back a day or two because it seems like the air quality may be impacted, how do you know?
How do we know?
How do you know?
Director Goycochea, for the record. So again, if those employees, we have a very limited employee base, especially in that division. If a couple of those employees are experiencing signs or symptoms because they've been out there for a day or two, then we will not have them go a subsequent day. That is how we know. It is, again, up to that employee. we don't have anyone to backfill for them. That is part of the problem. On our brand inspectors, we do, and we can send someone from 50, 60, 75 miles away, and that is what we would have to do, and therefore our fiscal note.
Okay, thank you for that. And so, different question. It was related to the comment around not having radios in trucks and, you have to go great distances. That was surprising to hear because I thought that radios and the ability to communicate was a part of the job and the equipment that has been associated with the agency.
Thank you for the question. Dominic Etchegoyen for the record, to and through you, Chair Dondera Loop. Yes, so a lot of our vehicles do have equipment, but those tend to be the emergency response vehicles that are exempted from this bill, SB 260. We have a lot of other field staff who don't necessarily have that law enforcement communication in their vehicles. We do have a number of individuals who have spot devices and things like that for emergencies. Should they run into trouble, they can send a message back when they're out of service area. However, in terms of having the ability to follow and implement the regulations that are established, including specifically a communication system, that's the concern that we have. We have no concern with the intent of this. We always work to keep our employees safe and do the best we can, but if it's imposed upon us to implement a communication system, that's where we think there's still a fiscal impact on our particular department.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any additional questions? Senator Scheibel.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I'm sorry, I think that you did mention this, but I just wanted to be clear about whether or not you're currently monitoring air quality.
Senator Scheibel, Director Goycochea, for the record, through the chair, no. We are not currently monitoring the air quality in a monetary sense or as far as any number of what that looks like. We do not monitor that. It is up to those employees. We know when we have smoke in the atmosphere. We know when it's probably unhealthy, and we talk to those inspectors, but we are not monitoring that air on a daily basis. And a lot of these, contrary to what you're going to be told, a lot of these valleys do not have that, and we have to rely on closest available sites. And so we don't know what that means either.
May I follow up? Okay, I'm just a little bit surprised. I'm not an OSHA expert, but I would have thought that would have been already required under OSHA, but you're shaking your head indicating that it's not. So that is new information for me. And then are you providing protective equipment at this point?
Senator Scheibel, Director Goycochea, for the record, again, we have protective masks available. You heard the N95s. They can take those. We have a large cache of those there, but that's not something we routinely put in every vehicle. No.
Okay, thank you for clarifying. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. All right, and thank you. With not seeing any more questions, thank you for your time today. And with that, we'll go to those that support Senate Bill 260 here in the room. And while I'm waiting for you to come up to the table, there is an overflow room in 2134 if anyone wants to have a seat in there. All right, please go ahead when you're ready.
Good morning, Ross Kinson with the Northern Nevada Central Labor Council, for the record. So I have spent my career working in warehouses and driving package cars. And I can tell you up here in Northern Nevada, the impact of smoke from wildfires is significant. I've had friends who now have permanent asthma because they continue to go out and work in these conditions day after day without any protective equipment. I've had myself having to call 911 and have responders come and get me on oxygen because I was put out in these conditions. And we didn't get any sort of protective equipment. We didn't have the right to sit there and say, look, we don't feel like these conditions are safe. We didn't have any of that. And so when you look at how many warehouses are in our area, how fast package delivery in this area is growing because of all the new homes, this is a huge population that I represent that is impacted and can ultimately be greatly affected through this legislation. Because I'm sorry, but I don't think that any of the people any of my friends that I work with should have to now permanently have an inhaler because they were forced to go out into the smoke without any sort of protective equipment. So for those reasons, And those reasons alone, I believe that this is very important, and I hope that you see that as well. All right, thanks.
Thank you very much. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, Chair Dondero Loop and members of the committee. For the record, Carlos Hernandez, representing the Nevada State AFL-CIO. We'd just like to echo the comments made by Mr. Ross Kinson and urge the committee to support Senate Bill 260. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Cassie Charles. On behalf of the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, I'd like to echo the comments made by my labor colleagues who spoke previously. But we also want to make sure we're here in support of keeping public workers safe in situations where there's poor air quality, and we support OSHA in developing regulations to that effect as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Olivia Tanager on behalf of the Sierra Club Toyabe chapter. For the record, I'll be very brief, but I do want to point out that with the bill last time, SB 427 from last session, there were no fiscal notes on that bill, and it addressed both heat and poor air quality. So I'm a little bit concerned about the fiscal notes and some of the testimony that we've heard today from our state agencies. I also want to point out that I just checked on Amazon, and an air quality monitor is $26. So there are options for air quality monitoring for folks that are cost effective. And with that, I urge your full support. I really feel that this is the highest and best use of our state's resources to protect workers in situations where there is poor air quality and it's dangerous for folks to be working. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Seeing no more support here in Carson City, we'll go to support in Las Vegas. Support on the phone lines, AVH, when you're ready.
If you would like to testify in support of SB 260, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. There are no callers wishing to provide support testimony at this time.
Thank you very much. Those in opposition here in Carson City, Las Vegas, and on the phone lines, AVH, when you're ready.
If you would like to testify in opposition to SB 260, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. There are no callers wishing to provide opposition testimony at this time.
In Vegas, are you there for opposition? Please go ahead.
Thank you so much, Chair Dondero Loop. My name is Anahit Bakhshetian. For the record, that is ANAHIT BAGHSHETSYN, and I'm a policy analyst at Nevada Policy. Today, we come in opposition to SB 260, as we have in the previous hearings. Unfortunately, we see this as an extra added layer of regulation that might come as a costly investment for business owners. While an air quality monitor might be $26, if this bill is enacted for business owners, this might mean hiring more workers, having scheduling conflicts, having to bear with extra regulations that redefine what being a business-friendly state might mean for Nevada. So for those reasons, we come in opposition and urge you to oppose this bill as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We'll go to neutral here in Carson City. In Las Vegas, oh, hurry. Be quick or be gone. You got to walk quicker in this class. You got work to do. Mr. Muradkin, go.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Paul Muradkin with the Vegas Chamber. Regarding SB 260, we do appreciate the efforts that were put together that result in this compromise. We appreciate the proponents understanding that some of these things should be down sent to regulations, and we appreciate those efforts, and therefore the Chamber of Commerce is now neutral on the bill. Thank you very much.
Good morning, I'm Brian Walker, Senior Vice President of the Retail Association of Nevada. We too agree with the amendment. We appreciate the long work that we've gone through with Senator Flores and the opponents, and we appreciate moving to neutral.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. My name is Tom Clark, representing the Reno Sparks Chamber of Commerce, also in the neutral position. This is a very complicated topic, and if this bill passes, we do look forward to working with OSHA to figure it all out. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Chair Dondero Loop and committee members, Misty Grimmer, GRIMMER, representing the Nevada Resort Association, and ditto.
Okay, anybody else here in Carson City? Las Vegas? And on the phone lines, AVH, when you're ready.
If you would like to testify in the neutral position for SB 260, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. There are no callers wishing to provide neutral testimony at this time.
Thank you very much. All right, any closing remarks?
Thank you, Madam Chair, Vice Chair, and the entire committee for giving us time. Senator Flores, for the record. I wanted to once more echo the remarks that I started my opening remarks with, which is I'm very grateful and thank you to Ms. Spicer, Mr. Muratkin, and all these stakeholders for the amount of work that they put into getting everybody to a place that we could move forward and ensure safety of all employees, and at the same time allow that industry have their perspective in place. As to the fiscal notes, I just wanted to make clear once more, we don't know what these regs are going to look like. They've indicated they have some process in place now. OSHA's regs may be below that, and it may not impact them at all. OSHA may decide not to impact that particular industry in a certain way. They may create rules that say, if it's impossible for you to have communication, we're going to create these rules separately for you because we realize that you're working under a different guide. And also the idea that right now they understand that there are days that there's poor air quality. The only way you can make that determination is by monitoring the air quality. So the idea that nobody's monitoring air now, quite frankly, just doesn't make any sense, because the only way you could make a determination that the air quality is poor is if you've made some type of effort to monitor it. Now there's multiple websites that we all utilize. It is commonplace in Nevada that we all use. AirNow is one of them, and we can go on. And that OSHA may make the determination that that's how we're going to determine whether or not air quality is poor in a certain area, that we're going to use a website or several different websites. My point is, we don't know what that's going to look like. It may not have to involve purchasing any equipment. It may just be going on a website. So I just want to make it abundantly clear to everybody that it's difficult for us to engage in this conversation when we're allowing OSHA and all the stakeholders to sit down and make that determination. And the idea that how we're going to communicate, again, we don't know what that's going to look like, whether it's a two-way radio system or a text message or an email or driving in and having the communication. Again, we just don't know what that looks like. So it's difficult for us to sit here and want to argue that point because I just don't know what it will look like. And with that, Madam Chair, I just wanted to say thank you again for your time and the entire committee's indulgence.
Thank you very much. All right, I'll close the hearing on SB 260 and I'll open the hearing on AB 558. And I am going to hand this over to Mr. Thorley. Sorry. Jumped ahead on myself. All right, AB 558, and we welcome Ms. Greenemeyer. I was trying to give you a pass. I was trying to jump all the way to the end of the meeting. Please go ahead when you're ready, and thank you for joining us.
Tiffany Greenemeyer, Director for the Governor's Finance Office, here to present AB 562. AB, I'm sorry. I was just trying to jump ahead. AB 558. AB 558 makes an appropriation to restore the balances in the stale claims account, the emergency account, and the contingency account. The Section 1 increases, restores the balance of $4,616,752 for stale claims. Section 2 restores the balance of $17,000 for emergency account. Section 3 restores the contingency account for $17,530,726. There is a amendment that was submitted by the Assembly to add $8.2 million to Section 3, making it a total of $25,730,726. And with that, I'll take any questions.
What was the amendment to add the 8.2 million? What was that amendment to achieve?
Tiffany Greenemeyer, for the record. My understanding that amendment was to cover the fines for forensic beds for public and behavioral health.
Okay, thank you. All right, any questions on this bill? All right, you may step back. And with that, I'll go to those in support of AB 558 in Carson City, Las Vegas. AVH on the line when you're ready.
If you would like to testify in support of AB 558, please press *9 to take your place in the queue. There are no callers wishing to provide support testimony at this time.
Thank you very much. We'll go to opposition here in Carson City, Las Vegas, and on the phone lines, AVH when you're ready.
If you would like to testify in opposition to AB 558, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. There are no callers wishing to provide opposition testimony at this time.
Thank you very much. We'll go to neutral here in Carson City, in Las Vegas, and on the phone lines, AVH when you're ready.
If you would like to testify in the neutral position for AB 558, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. There are no callers wishing to provide neutral testimony at this time.
Thank you very much. And with that, any closing remarks? Seeing none, we'll close the hearing on AB 558, and we'll go to AB 562, Office of the Secretary of State. We'll bypass that for a minute, and we'll go to the State Controller because he and Mr. Smack are waiting patiently, and we will pull you up, and we will do AB 563. Thank you for your patience and your time. Please go ahead when you are ready.
Good morning, Chair, distinguished members of the committee. For the record, I'm Andy Matthews, Nevada State Controller. The gentleman to my left is James Smack, Chief Deputy Controller. We are here to present Assembly Bill 563, which makes an appropriation to the Office of the Nevada State Controller. We'll dive right in, and I'll turn things over to Mr. Smack to walk you through the bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Controller Matthews. Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. For the record, James Smack, Chief Deputy Controller. This is a one-shot allocation of $1.11 million to pay a consulting team that assists us in several different aspects as far as our financial reporting goes. It helps us in preparing some of the more complex portions of the ACFR. Which has been something that we've been taking advantage of the last couple of years. We're going to be continuing to take advantage of that, but a little bit smaller scale this time. Three things this bill does. Number one, that presentation, the preparation work, especially on notes, GASB 8796, some of the more complex things that we've run into within the ACFR process. Secondly, this provides us an option to do some training not only for our staff, but also for departments that have been giving us maybe a little bit less than standard work, so it will help them be educated on what we're expecting for the ACFR process a little bit more clearly. So if we get better work coming in the door, we will be able to turn that work around and be able to improve our processes accordingly. Thirdly, this also gives us some legal protection for 1099s, IRS concerns, that type of thing. Occasionally we could get notifications from the IRS of different fines and penalties, that type of thing. We turn it over to the tax attorneys within this consulting group, and generally those fines go away. So that's been, and certainly there was one when Controller Matthews and I took office that was almost $750,000, and that legal work was able to make that fine go away. So certainly worth the investment there as far as that goes. If anything like that comes up again, don't foresee anything like that coming up, but it could, and if it does, we will have that legal work already built into this contract. With that, I'm just going to open it up to any questions that the committee might have at this point in time, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, any questions for Mr. Smack or the Controller? All right, seeing none, thank you very much. We'll go to those.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Anyone in support here in Carson City, in Las Vegas, and on the phone lines, AVH, when you're ready.
If you would like to testify in support of AB 563, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. There are no callers wishing to provide support testimony at this time.
Thank you very much. We'll go to opposition here in Carson City, in Las Vegas, and on the phone lines when you're ready.
If you would like to testify in opposition to AB 563, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue.
Thank you very.
There are no callers wishing to provide opposition testimony at this time.
Thank you very much. Those in neutral here in Carson City, in Las Vegas, and on the phone lines when you're ready.
If you would like to testify in the neutral position for AB 563, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. There are no callers wishing to provide neutral testimony at this time.
Okay, thank you very much. Any closing remarks? All right, you're off the hook, I believe, today. Thank you very much, and thanks for your patience waiting through. All right, with that, we'll go to AB 565 with the Supreme Court, who has also been waiting patiently.
Good morning, Chair and members of the committee. I'm John McCormick, here on behalf of the Nevada Supreme Court, JOHN, MCC, ORMICK. With me is Todd Myler, the Chief Financial Officer, to present AB 565. This bill is a one-time appropriation of $5,175,367 to allow the Supreme Court AOC to complete its development and implementation of a statewide trial court e-filing system. This is a project we started initially with COVID relief dollars, and this appropriation will allow us to complete the project and roll that out.
All righty, any questions from the committee? All right, thank you very much. Step back. We'll go to those in support here in Carson City, Las Vegas. On the phone lines, AVH, when you're ready.
If you would like to testify in support of AB 565, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. There are no callers wishing to provide support testimony at this time.
All right, those in opposition here in Carson City, Las Vegas, and on the phone lines, AVH, when you're ready.
If you would like to testify in opposition to AB 565, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. There are no callers wishing to provide opposition testimony at this time.
And we'll go to neutral here in Carson City, Las Vegas, and on the phone lines when you're ready.
If you would like to testify in the neutral position for AB 565, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. There are no callers wishing to provide neutral testimony at this time.
Thank you very much. Any closing remarks? Okay, then we'll close the hearing on AB 565, and you're off the hook. Thank you very much. All right, we will go to the Department of Education, and we will go to Assembly Bill 570. Oh, sorry, I missed one. NDE. Pause, go to recess. AB 564, Fleet Services, Department of Administration. Anybody here? Okay, good, perfect. And please go ahead when you're
Good morning, Madam Chair and fellow Senate Finance Committee members. I'm Robbie Burgess, the Administrator for the Fleet Service Division. I'm here to present for AB 564. AB 564 is a one-shot appropriation bill to help support buying 173 replacement vehicles and 90 additional vehicles for other agencies throughout the state. The original bill amount was $11,749,091, and it was amended. We do have an amendment amount of $1,382,233, and that's to help support buying additional law enforcement vehicles and to also move forward. We had purchased some vehicles that haven't been here yet, that haven't arrived yet, and so we're asking for the appropriation money to purchase those vehicles that have already been on order. So we're not going to see these vehicles until probably September sometime. So that's one of the reasons for the amendment. Other than that, though, I'm here for any questions that you may have.
Would you repeat that amount, please?
Which amount, Madam Chair?
In the bill?
The original bill amount was $11,749,091. The amendment amount is $1,382,233, bringing the total appropriation to $13,131,324.
All right, any questions from the committee? Senator Titus.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Real quick, did I hear you say you needed money for vehicles that you had ordered that weren't here yet? How did you order them without having the money?
Thank you for the question, Robbie Burgess, for the record, and through you, Madam Chair, to you, Senator Titus. So the money that we had from last biennium was appropriated in the last one-shot bill. We will not use that money for that one shot, so we'll revert back to the general fund, but then we're asking for it again because we still have the vehicles on order. We have outstanding POs for them.
Sorry, follow up, Madam Chair. How much reverted back then?
To you, Senator Titus, through you, Madam Chair, the dollar reversion back is $1,396,525, but we're asking for it again.
Okay, all right, understood. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Any additional questions for Mr. Burgess? Okay, thank you. All right, with that, we'll go to those in support here in Carson City, in Las Vegas, on the phone lines, AVH, when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair. If you would like to testify in support of AB 564, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. There are no callers wishing to provide support testimony at this time.
Thank you very much. We'll go to opposition here in Carson City, in Las Vegas, on the phone lines when you're ready.
If you would like to testify in opposition to AB 564, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. There are no callers wishing to provide opposition testimony at this time.
Thank you very much, and we'll go to neutral here in Carson City on the phone lines, and go ahead when you're ready.
If you would like to testify in the neutral position for AB 564, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. There are no callers wishing to provide neutral testimony at this time.
Thank you very much. Any closing remarks? Seeing none, we'll close the hearing on Assembly Bill 564. Thank you very much for being here today. All righty, now we'll go to NDE and we'll go to Assembly Bill 571 to start with. And please go ahead when you're ready.
Good morning, Chair, members of the committee, Deputy Superintendent Megan Peterson for the record. AB 571 today is a reprint of the original bill. I'll discuss the amendment in just a moment. This bill makes appropriations to the Department of Education for certain surveys to offset decreases due to changes made to a federal grant allocation and professional development. So within the Educator Effectiveness Budget Account, AB 571 appropriates funds for administration of statewide surveys for educators who exit or transfer to another district or school in the state, $1.1 million in the first fiscal year and $900,000 in the second fiscal year. The budget also the bill also provides an allocation to offset a decrease in funding due to changes that were made to our Title II grant allocations. This is the amendment that I was mentioning earlier. It had addressed it as for Every Student Succeeds Act funding, and this is actually specific to Title I allocation. Title II-A allocations. We also have appropriations, $1.3 million associated with that in each fiscal year. Next is $500,000 for a contract to support the Commission on Innovation and Excellence in Education, $500,000 for the biennium. Under our Office for Standards and Instructional Support budget account, funding of $560,370 in fiscal year 26 and $495,000 in fiscal year 27 for the Canvas Learning Management System, which will also provide micro-credentialing platform for our educators. Funding is also allocated for several SEAL programs to allow students to acknowledge additional curriculum in education in certain areas. $35,000, $200 for the Seal of Biliteracy, $10,843 for the STEM Seal program, and $12,765 for the Civics program. Within the Office of Safe and Respectful Learning, $50,000 is appropriated in both fiscal years to provide reporting within our student information system related to discipline data. The bill also appropriates $3 million in each fiscal year for support in implementing multi-tiered systems of support, framework, and related training for school districts and the department. Additionally, $35,000 is appropriated to the superintendent's budget account to provide funding for a study to analyze what changes, if any, are needed to pupil-centered funding plan funding resulting from changes under competency-based education. Currently, as you're aware, we administer funding based on instructional seat time. This would look to identify any changes necessary as we move to competency-based education in some districts. $218,948 is appropriated to develop and implement a new school performance framework. $348,000 for our district support services budget account to provide grants to local education agencies who need support in developing financial and internal control procedures within their district. And $30,000 within that same budget account to analyze and review past practices and programs of the department to ensure operational efficiency going forward. This concludes my testimony for this bill, and I'm available for any questions.
Thank you very much. I have one. When you mentioned that you had money in there for the civics, right in there. So can you explain why when we pass a bill on our side and it has that fiscal note on it, then you have another fiscal note? How does that cross over, and why is one not enough? Does that make sense? So when we passed the civics bill, we had a fiscal note in there for the seals, for possibly a person, whatever all those entities were to make that civic seal available to students. But then I hear that you have a fiscal note as well for civics. So appropriation. So how does that work, and why is there that needed as well?
Megan Peterson, for the record. I believe what has possibly transpired here is the result of this was part of an agency request budget, which was being put forward under the governor's recommended budget. And so this was following that budget implementation protocol, whereas when the bill was introduced and the fiscal note was put on it, they were not necessarily contemplated at the same time. So there, we may need some cleanup in the request that's put here.
Okay, thank you. Senator Neal.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So it's a similar question because you also mentioned MTSS, and we had just had that hearing last week on Rogich bill. So is this additional money other than what was listed in as a fiscal note in her bill? Because I distinctly was arguing over, I think it was like $443,000 or something.
Megan Peterson, for the record. I'm going to ask Deputy Superintendent Christy McGill to elaborate on that a little bit more, but I do believe they are related to different focus areas.
Christy McGill, for the record. Nevada Department of Education. The MTSS you see here is a systems-based, kind of like an operating system on your computer. What you see in the individual bills, like for, let's say, specific practices for dyslexia or something like that, is the practices themselves. And those evidence-based practices usually come with curriculums, trainings, support, those kinds of things. So that may be the differences that you're seeing between this ask and some of the other asks.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm trying to pull up that bill, but I know that there was some conversation around having to either adjust the system because of what she was asking for. There wasn't just curriculum, it was more than that.
Christy McGill for the record. So the MTSS here is directly going to the Nevada, the University of Nevada, Reno, to work with each one of our districts on the implementation of MTSS at a systems level. So looking at their data and making sure that they're doing school improvement and those kinds of things. Where I believe the fiscal note that you're talking about directly related to a practice. And so that would have had separate training requirements and those kinds of things. So I think it was related to dyslexia. And so that piece is separate than this kind of ongoing MTSS support to our districts.
Okay, thanks, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Any additional questions on this particular bill? All righty, seeing none, thank you very much. If you'll sit back for just a minute, we'll go to those in support of Assembly Bill 571 here in Carson City, in Las Vegas, and on the phone lines when you're ready, please, AVH.
Thank you, Chair. If you would like to testify in support of AB 571, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. There are no callers wishing to provide support testimony at this time.
Thank you very much. We'll go to opposition here in Carson City, in Las Vegas, and on the phone lines, AVH, when you're ready.
If you would like to testify in opposition to AB 571, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. There are no callers wishing to provide opposition testimony at this time.
Thank you very much, and we'll go to neutral here in Carson City, in Las Vegas, and on the phone lines, please.
If you would like to testify in a neutral position for AB 571, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. There are no callers wishing to provide neutral testimony at this time.
Thank you very much. Any closing remarks? Seeing none, we'll close the hearing on Assembly Bill 571, and we'll open the hearing on Assembly Bill 573. And welcome back to the table, Ms. Peterson.
Good morning, Deputy Superintendent Megan Peterson for the record. AB 573 appropriates $8.7 million to the Department of Education for the Incentivizing Pathways to Teaching grant program that was created under NRS 391A.705. During the pandemic, this funding was provided through the ESSER funds, and so this request extends funding for that program, which focuses on providing financial support to students who are going through the traditional route to educator licensing. And that concludes my testimony for this bill. I am available for any questions.
Thank you. Questions, committee? I don't see any right now, so if you want to sit back, we will go to those in support here in Carson City. Go ahead when you're ready.
Okay, good morning, Chair Don Loop. For the record, Patty Charlton, Chancellor, Nevada System of Higher Education. We just urge your support of this legislation in support of teacher education and compensation assistance.
Thank you very much. Go ahead, please.
Leonardo Benavides with UNLV. Ditto. We love IPT.
Thank you very much. It's very important. Thank you very much. All right, anybody else here in Carson City and in Las Vegas? And on the phone lines when you're ready.
If you would like to testify in support of AB 573, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. There are no callers wishing to provide support testimony at this time.
Thank you very much. We'll go to opposition here in Carson City and in Las Vegas and on the phone lines when you're ready.
If you would like to testify in opposition to AB 573, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. There are no callers wishing to provide opposition testimony at this time.
Thank you very much. Any closing remarks? Seeing none, we'll close the hearing on Assembly Bill 573, and we'll go to Assembly Bill 579. Go ahead when you're ready.
Superintendent Megan Peterson for the record. AB 579 appropriates $1.4 million to the Department of Education for the educator licensure budget account. The department has undertaken an RFP to replace our aging teacher licensure system. Because this is a fee-funded account and the initial implementation costs of this new contract exceed the amount of funding available, this one-shot appropriation ensures the ability to implement that new system that is desperately needed to ensure teachers can be licensed in a timely and efficient manner. And that concludes my testimony for this bill. I'm available for any questions.
All right, any questions from the committee? All righty, thank you very much. If you'd like to step back, we'll go to those in support here in Carson City and in Las Vegas and on the phone lines, AVH, when you're ready.
If you would like to testify in support of AB 579, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. There are no callers wishing to provide support testimony at this time.
Thank you very much. And those in neutral here in Carson City and in Las Vegas and on the phone lines, AVH, when you're ready.
If you would like to testify in the neutral position for AB 579, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. There are no callers wishing to provide neutral testimony at this time.
Thank you very much. And closing remarks. Okay, with that, I'll close the hearing on Assembly Bill 579. And before we go to 567, we are going to jump back to Assembly Bill 562, Secretary of State. Welcome to the table.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. Members of the committee, apologies for not being available earlier. I am Chief Deputy Secretary of State Gabriel DeCara, and I'm joined by Deputy Secretary for Elections Mark Voloshin. Secretary Aguilar would have liked to be here today, but he sits on the Tahoe Regional Planning Agency Board, and there are several important items related to transportation and State Route 28 on the agenda today, so unfortunately he could not be here. Assembly Bill 562 is the request from the Office of Secretary of State for one-shot funding to complete phases 2 and 3 of the Voter Registration and Election Management Solution, or VREMS project that was first called for by Assembly Bill 422 of the 2021 legislative session. When Secretary Aguilar came into office, VREMS was not on schedule to be completed by its statutorily mandated timeline. Thanks to hard work from dozens of dedicated staffers, the resources granted by the legislature and elections administrators in each one of our counties, our office was able to complete phase 1 of VREMS prior to the 2024 general election. This is a far shorter timeline than other states, even states transitioning from top-down to top-down systems instead of the far more complicated bottom-up to top-down transition that Nevada made. In real terms, the system ensured Nevada's elections were more transparent, secure, and accessible than ever before. For the first time, election offices across Nevada ran on the same software and used the same hardware. The Secretary of State staff was able to provide direct support to the counties who were administering our elections. 2024 was a successful election because of the investment that this legislature made in our processes. Phase 2, which consists of merging the Clark and state instances of the total vote system, is underway, and a successful mock election was completed earlier this month. Phase 3 contains several important improvements to the system, like an updated voter portal that would make it easier than ever for voters to learn about upcoming elections, update their information, and even complete important electoral tasks like curing their signatures. One of the most important duties of any democracy is ensuring that citizens can easily and lawfully cast their ballot. Nevada has some of the most forward-thinking election laws in the country, and we've seen that translate to increased civic engagement. This past election, Nevada had some of the highest rates of youth voters in the country, for example, and we've seen incredible growth in turnout in tribal voters across the state. The accessibility and data transparency of our elections can continue to grow, which would grow our democracy as a result. All of this is only possible with your support and investment, and as a result, we ask that you please support AB 562. Thank you for your time. My team and I are available for questions.
Thank you very much. Questions from the committee? All right. Thank you very much. You can step back. We'll go to those in support here in Carson City and in Las Vegas. And on the phone lines, please, AVH, when you're ready.
If you would like to testify in support of AB 562, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue.
Good morning, Chair Dondero Loop and committee members for the record. My name is Emily Prasad Zamora, and that's spelled PERSAUD-ZAMORA. I'm the Executive Director of Silver State Voices, and today we're in strong support. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And AVH, now we'll go back to you. We had a surprise visitor to the table. So AVH, when you're ready.
If you would like to testify in support for AB 562, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. There are no callers wishing to provide support testimony at this time.
Thank you very much. And we'll go to opposition here in Carson City and in Las Vegas and AVH on the phone lines.
Thank you, Chair. If you would like to testify in opposition to AB 562, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue.
Good morning, Chair and members of the Finance Committee. My name is Kimberly Fergus, Fergus. Thank you for letting me speak. However, I rise in strong opposition to AB 562. This bill is asking for $31.2 million more of the Secretary of State's voter registration and election systems. In 2023, the initial allocation for the VREM system Phase 1 was $30 million. 2025, AB 562, Section 1, continued replacement of voter registration and management systems is $27 million for 162. AB 562 Section 2 is consulting services for implementation is $748,800. AB 562 Section 3 connectivity of automatic voter registration agencies is $34,873,64. That's
And it's
and then
okay. You don't have
yesterday
to
we had-
reread the bill if you don't want to.
Okay. But what I want to break it down to is yesterday, SB 488, replacement of IT equipment was $460 million. And then Section 2 was voter education outreach was $1.462864. And then Section 3 yesterday on SB 488 is voter identification at $26,000. So the total expenditures are going to be $80 million. And that's all I just wanted to do is bring it to the attention that, this body said that the Secretary of State was facing a budget shortfall. And then I'm just, as a concerned taxpayer, we're writing another blank check. Thank you. Please vote no on AB 562. Thank you.
Thank you very much. AVH, any additional callers?
There are no other callers wishing to provide opposition testimony at this time.
Thank you very much. And with that, we'll go to neutral here in Carson City, in Las Vegas, and on the phone lines, please.
If you would like to testify in the neutral position for AB 562, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. There are no callers wishing to provide neutral testimony at this time.
Thank you very much. Go ahead, please.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Gabriel DeCare for the record. I would just like to add that the Secretary of State's office reverted approximately $4.5 million back to the general fund. We are trying our best to be good stewards of the state's money. Thank you.
And we appreciate those comments. Thank you very much. And with that, I'll close the hearing on Assembly Bill 562, and I will open the hearing on Assembly Bill 567.
The armless chairs.
It's a lot down there. Go ahead, please, when you're ready.
Okay, good morning, Chair Dondera Loop and members of the committee. For the record, I'm Patricia Charlton, Chancellor of the Nevada System of Higher Education. And I'm here today to present Assembly Bill 567, which appropriates a one-time allocation of $11 million from the State General Fund to enhance safety and security efforts across our NSHE institutions throughout the state. In the wake of the tragic shooting on the UNLV campus in December of 2023, as Chancellor, I formed an ad hoc committee on public safety to take a hard look at how we protect our students, our faculty, staff, and the community members that visit our campuses. This group included campus leaders, safety professionals, and other stakeholders, both internal and external, to NSHE. The committee conducted a thorough assessment and delivered a series of actionable recommendations to improve campus safety and security. While our overall request for safety and security needs was more substantial, we appreciate the governor's decision to submit this one-shot appropriation as part of a budget amendment. This funding, while partial, will still be very helpful in allowing our campuses to make meaningful progress on urgent system-wide needs. We have already made progress with some improvements being implemented using existing institutional resources and grants, but many needs remain unmet. AB 567 provides a much-needed one-time investment to support system-wide implementation of these recommendations throughout our NSHE institution and ensures that every campus, regardless of size or location, can strengthen its safety infrastructure and be better prepared to prevent, respond to, and to recover from emergencies. I respectfully urge your support today of AB 567, and I am joined by NSHE CFO Chris Fatone, Chief Eric James, Chief Arnold Vasquez from University Police Services, and we stand ready to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you, Chair Dondera Loop.
Thank you very much. Any questions on this funding or this bill? All right, I just have one. Chancellor, could you, I know you sort of alluded to this about any institution deserves safety. So when if you were to get this funding, this is spread across the institutions? How does that work?
Thank you, Chair Dondera Loop, for the question. So as I mentioned, as Chancellor, I established an ad hoc public safety committee to look at our needs across the system. In March of 2025, we actually formalized that under a public safety council, which is chaired by both Chief James and Chief Vasquez. And so they will be, as the university police chiefs that actually have jurisdiction and responsibility for every square foot, every campus, every location of NSHE, they will be primary in making recommendations in the highest priority needs that will meet the immediate best interest of safety throughout all of our campuses. So that will go, any of the funds will come to NSHE with recommendations coming through the Public Safety Council and through the board for finalization on those recommendations.
Thank you very much for that clarification. I appreciate that, and I appreciate all of you being here today. All right, any questions? All right, I don't see any, so you may step back. And with that, I'll call those in support here in Carson City. Go ahead, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Eric James, excuse me, and I'm the Chief of Police, the University Police Department Northern Command. I speak in support of this bill. This money will help us assist kind of to the point that you were just making, Senator, that this will allow us in a lot of our places to fill in some of those gaps and those holes that are necessary to help secure our students, faculty, and staff on an ongoing basis, quite honestly. So I absolutely support it, and thank you all for taking the time to hear it.
Thank you very much. From somebody who has a granddaughter on the UNLV campus, I appreciate what you do. Thank you very much, and go ahead, please.
Kent Irvin, K-E-N-T-E-R-V-I-N, Nevada Faculty Alliance. This is a priority issue for us. Please support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any additional support? Going to Las Vegas, please go ahead when you're ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee. For the record, Arnold Vasquez, Chief of Police, University Police Department, Southern Command. In support of Assembly Bill 567, the funding would provide important safety measures across our NSHE campuses, including strengthening access control, video surveillance, emergency communications. All of these institutions are uniquely different, and having this funding would be critical in helping us identify and meet those gaps, as my colleague has so mentioned. Thank you for your continued support.
Thank you very much, and thank you for what you do and joining us today. All right, with that, if I see no more ABH, we'll go to the phone lines in support.
Thank you, Chair. If you would like to testify in support of AB 567, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue.
Doug Unger, D-O-U-G-U-N-G-E-R, Nevada Faculty Alliance. Thank you, Chairs Dondero Loop, Nguyen, and members of the committee. We implore you to please approve the one-shot funding allocated by AB 567 for needed infrastructure upgrades to support campus safety. Following the December 6, 2023 mass shooting at UNLV that murdered 3 faculty, 2 of whom I knew personally, those of us who worked on campus safety and served on the Chancellor's ad hoc committee learned a lot. Active shooters assail a school, college, or university somewhere in our nation with seasonal regularity. That such tragic violence on an NG campus might happen again feels like a matter of if, not when. And our schools are not yet as safe as they should be. UNLV has done what it can. Reported expenditures are between $4 and $5 million, but it's not enough. We need camera systems with centralized monitoring, website and video upgrades, increased numbers of campus police, renovations to building and public spaces, and doors to classrooms that lock from the inside so our teachers don't have to risk their lives as they did on December 6th when they stepped out into halls and swiped Marlock cards to lock doors behind them. The $11 million in AB 567 is less than a third of the funding needed, but it's a solid start that can save lives. Please make campus safety a top priority and vote to approve AB 567. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any additional callers on the phone line, AVH?
There are no other callers wishing to provide support testimony at this time.
Thank you very much. And with that, we'll go to opposition here in Carson City, in Las Vegas, and on the phone lines when you're ready, AVH.
If you would like to testify in opposition to AB 567, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. There are no callers wishing to provide opposition testimony at this time.
Thank you very much. And we'll go to neutral here in Carson City and in Las Vegas, and on the phone lines, AVH, when you're ready.
If you would like to testify in the neutral position for AB 567, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. There are no callers wishing to provide neutral testimony at this time.
Thank you very much. And with that, any closing remarks? Okay, then we'll close the hearing on Assembly Bill 567, and we will open the hearing on Assembly Bill 566. Have any takers? Okay. Thank you very much, and please go ahead when you're ready.
Chair, Senate Finance Committee, I'm grateful to be able to be here today. My name is Dan Thielen, Thielen. I'm the administrator of Nevada's Division of Museums and History, and this modest appropriation will cover equipment at 2 museums, one in Carson City and the one in Boulder City. AB 566 purchases a pickup truck, a utility vehicle, and hand tools for the museum in Boulder City. And in Carson City, it replaces a tractor, purchases a utility vehicle, and repairs the electronic sign at the front of the museum on Carson Street. I'm ready for your questions.
Thank you very much. And any questions? And you said the museum here in Carson City and the one in Boulder City?
Dan Thielen, for the record, that is correct.
Okay, just double checking. All right, with that, if there are no questions, then I will have you step back and we will go to support testimony here in Carson City.
Seeing no support here in Carson City or in Las Vegas, if we can go to the phone lines for any supportive testimony for AB 566.
Thank you, Vice Chair. If you would like to testify in support of AB 566, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. There are no callers wishing to provide support testimony at this time.
Thank you. We'll go to opposition testimony. Is there anyone to testify in opposition? Seeing no one here, just bad timing on standing up. Seeing no one here to testify in opposition or in Las Vegas, we can go to the phone lines for any opposition testimony.
If you would like to testify in opposition to AB 566, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. There are no callers wishing to provide opposition testimony at this time.
Neutral testimony. Seeing no one here in Carson City, Las Vegas, phone lines for neutral testimony.
If you would like to testify in the neutral position for AB 566, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. There are no callers wishing to provide neutral testimony at this time.
Thank you. Seeing no closing statements, we'll go ahead and close the hearing on AB 566, and we'll open the hearing on AB 544. If you are here, do we have anyone here to testify, to present AB 544? Oh, I'm sorry. I see we have our presenter. Go ahead and begin when you're ready on Assembly Bill 554. I'm at 5.
Thank you, Vice Chair Gwen.
544.
Yes. Vice Chair Gwen, members of the committee, for the record, I'm Paul Schubert, Chief of the Bureau of Healthcare Quality and Compliance. Again, that's Paul Schubert, S-H-U-B-E-R-T. Thank you for this opportunity to present AB 544, an agency bill designed to change healthcare facility license renewal dates so that facilities will renew on anniversary dates according to the date on which the facility is licensed. It's a fairly simple bill, and with reprint number 1, the bill only has 2 sections. Section 1 changes renewal dates, and Section 3 makes the change effective January 1st, 2026. While the bill is simple, the impact is large. This bill will do 2 things. First, it will eventually spread renewals throughout the year, whereas right now we receive a big bolus of renewals at the end of each year. And secondly, it allows initial licensees an entire year of licensure prior to renewal, whereas right now initial licensees only receive a partial year based on when they were initially licensed. There are no fiscal notes, and pursuant to your questions, this concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Do we have any questions about this budget implementation bill? Seeing none, we'll go to supportive testimony. Is there anyone here to testify in support? Seeing no one here in Carson City or in Las Vegas, we can go to the phone lines for any supportive testimony of AB 544.
Thank you. If you would like to testify in support of AB 544, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue.
I'm almost done.
There are no callers wishing to provide support testimony at this time.
Thank you. If we'll go to opposition testimony of AB 544. Man, I'm really struggling with that number. Seeing no one here in Carson City or in Las Vegas, we can go to the phone lines for opposition testimony.
If you would like to testify in opposition to AB 544, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. There are no callers wishing to provide opposition testimony at this time.
Thank you. If we finally go to neutral testimony, seeing no one here in Carson City or in Las Vegas, is there anyone on the phone lines in neutral?
If you would like to testify in the neutral position for AB 544, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. There are no callers wishing to provide neutral testimony at this time.
Thank you. And with that, we will close the hearing on Assembly Bill 544. Yes, 544. Man, really struggling. Okay, I'm back on. And we'll open the hearing on Assembly Bill 560. If you are here to present Assembly Bill 560, please come up to the table and go ahead and begin when you're ready.
Good morning, Vice Chair and members of the committee. My name is Kelsey McCann-Navarro, and I am the Administrative Services Officer for the Division of Child and Family Services. AB 560 requests a supplemental appropriation in the amount of $444,325 for the the Rural Child Welfare Budget Account 3229 to address unanticipated shortfalls in the personnel, travel, transportation, and utilities categories. This concludes my testimony, and I'm available for questions.
Do we have any questions? Seeing none, I'll ask you to step back and we'll begin testimony in support of AB 560. Seeing no one here in Carson City or in Las Vegas, if we can go to the phone lines for testimony in support of AB 560.
Thank you. If you would like to testify in support of AB 560, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. There are no callers wishing to provide support testimony at this time.
Thank you. We'll go to opposition. Seeing no one here in Carson City or in Las Vegas, we can go to the phone lines for opposition testimony.
If you would like to testify in opposition to AB 560, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. There are no callers wishing to provide opposition testimony at this time.
Thank you. And finally, in neutral, do we have anyone to testify in neutral? Seeing no one here in Carson City or in Las Vegas, we go to the phone lines for neutral testimony.
If you would like to testify in the neutral position for AB 560, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. There are no callers wishing to provide neutral testimony at this time.
Thank you. And with that, we will close the hearing on AB 560 and open the hearing on AB 577. If you can go ahead and begin when you're ready.
Thank you, Vice Chair. My name is Dominic Etchegoyen, Deputy Director with the Nevada Department of Conservation and Natural Resources. I'm here today to present on AB 577, which would make an appropriation to the Nevada Department of Conservation and Natural Resources for the following purposes. Section 1 would appropriate $257,400 to the Sagebrush Ecosystem Technical Team for a new website and online database. Section 2 would appropriate $144,032 to the Nevada Conservation Districts Program for the replacement of vehicles per the replacement schedule. Section 3 would appropriate $129,539 to the Nevada Division of Water Resources, again for the replacement of vehicles per the schedule. Section 4 would appropriate $15,953 to the Nevada Division of Water Resources for the replacement of computer hardware and software, again per the replacement schedule. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you. Do we have any questions? Seeing none, we'll begin testimony in support. Is there anyone here to testify in support? Seeing no one here in Carson City or in Las Vegas, we'll go to the phone lines for supportive testimony.
If you would like to testify in support of AB 577, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. There are no callers wishing to provide support testimony at this time.
Thank you. We'll go to opposition testimony. Seeing no one here coming up to the table in Carson City or in Las Vegas, phone lines if there are any opposition.
If you would like to testify in opposition to AB 577, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. There are no callers wishing to provide opposition testimony at this time.
Finally, neutral testimony in this bill. Seeing no one here in Carson City or Las Vegas, if we can go to the phone lines in neutral testimony.
If you would like to provide neutral testimony for AB 577, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. There are no callers wishing to provide neutral testimony at this time.
Thank you. And at this time, we will close the hearing on Assembly Bill 577 and open the hearing on Assembly Bill 578. If you can come in as quickly as you possibly can present, that would be wonderful.
Yes. Dominic Etchegoyen, Deputy Director for the Nevada Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, here to present on AB 578. Section 1, I was going to take a little bit of time, but we're going to skip right over it, would be $6 million for the Shared Stewardship Program, Nevada Division of Forestry. That's an incredibly important program, but I think you might have heard about it before. If you've got any questions, please let me know. Section 2 would be $67,279, again for computer replacement for the Nevada Division of Forestry per the replacement schedule. Section 3 would be $2,048,082 for deferred maintenance and repair. Section 4 would be the appropriation of $2,592,156 for replacement of vehicles. Section 5 would be $932,918 for deferred maintenance and repairs in our camps. Section 7, years 1 and 2 would both be $111,690 for equipment replacement, including chainsaws, etc. Section 8 would be $19,270 in the first year, $13,972 in the second year for computer replacement per the state replacement schedule. And again, if you've got questions regarding the first item, the $6 million, I have Ryan Shane, Deputy Administrator for Division of Forestry.
Thank you very much. Any questions on this bill? Okay, thank you very much. You may step back. We'll go to support here in Carson City, Las Vegas, and on the phone lines, please.
If you would like to testify in support of AB 578, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. There are no callers wishing to provide support testimony at this time.
Thank you very much. We'll go to opposition here in Carson City and in Las Vegas, and on the phone lines, please.
If you would like to testify in opposition to AB 578, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. There are no callers wishing to provide opposition testimony at this time.
Thank you very much, and we'll go to neutral here in Carson City, in Las Vegas, on the phone lines, please.
If you would like to offer neutral testimony for AB 578, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. There are no callers wishing to provide neutral testimony at this time.
Thank you very much. I'm assuming no closing remarks. Thank you very much for being here today. I'll close this hearing on AB 590, and we are going to, 578, and we will open the hearing on AB 590. And thank you to the military for what you do and for waiting during this morning hearing. Thank you very much. And please go ahead when you're ready, and you can be quick, and we'll get you out of here.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, good afternoon. Dan Waters, WATERS, the Adjutant General. For the record, we're here to discuss AB 590 as part of the governor's budget.
Good morning, good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Cheryl Tyler, Tyler. I'm the Administrative Services Officer for Office of the Military. We're here to present AB 590, Section 1 and Section 2 request one-shot general fund appropriations and the corresponding federal funds authority for facilities maintenance projects and building asset replacements for the Nevada National Guard facilities throughout the state and purchasing of facilities equipment. Section 3 requests one-shot appropriations to continue providing resiliency program to the service members of the Nevada National Guard. Section 4 requests general fund appropriations to pay out the federal government for the state's remaining obligation for the Carlin Readiness Center. We're available to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much. And are there any questions from the committee? Seeing none, thank you very much. You may step back. And thank you for your time again today. And with that, I'm going to bundle up our people in the room. If you are in support, please come forward. And if you're in opposition, please be in the queue or neutral here in Carson City or Las Vegas. Go ahead, please.
Chair and committee members, for the record, my name is Andrew Lee Pilbut. I'm the state chairman for the United Veterans Legislative Council, and naturally want our military to have the proper maintenance and programs and materials in place, so we support 590. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And seeing no one else wanting to speak, we'll go to the phone lines. AVH, is there anyone in support, opposition, or neutral?
Thank you, Chair. If you would like to testify in support, opposition, or neutral for AB 590, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. There are no callers wishing to provide testimony at this time.
Thank you very much. I'll close the hearing on Assembly Bill 590, and I'll quickly go to Assembly Bill 569. Is there anyone here to present that bill? Ms. Greenemeyer, thank you very much. And we'll be quick and get you back to your job as well. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Chair. Tiffany Greenemeyer, Director for the Governor's Finance Office, here to present AB 569. AB 569 provides a one-shot appropriation to the Department of Veterans Services for replacement vehicles and equipment. Section 1 appropriates $67,187 for replacement of utility vehicles and a truck at the Southern Nevada Veterans Memorial Cemetery. Section 2 appropriates $34,390 for a replacement of a mower at the Southern Nevada Veterans Memorial Cemetery. Section 3 appropriates general fund of $120,000 for the replacement of security and safety equipment at the Southern Nevada Veterans Memorial Cemetery. Section 4 appropriates general fund of $194,935 for replacement of a dump truck and the purchase of a tracked loader vehicle for Northern Nevada Veterans Memorial Cemetery. And Section 5 appropriates general fund for $4,622 for the cost of video conference equipment. And with that, I will try to take answering questions.
Thank you. Any questions from the committee? All right, not seeing any, you can step back. Is there anyone in support, opposition, or neutral here in Carson City, Las Vegas, or on the phone lines? AVH, if there's anybody in support, opposition, or neutral on the phone lines, please.
Thank you, Chair. If you would like to testify in support, opposition, or neutral for AB 569, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. There are no callers wishing to provide testimony at this time.
Thank you very much. And with that, we'll close the hearing on the bill we heard. And we are going to recess, and please head to the floor.